Hi, my name is Bob Glaves. I'm with the Chicago Bar Foundation, and we are one of the partners with the city and the county and a lot of legal aid and nonprofit partners who are working on the Cook County Legal Aid for Housing and Debt program. And we're here to help you when you're facing a difficult situation like eviction. So the first thing we want to tell you, and you probably heard throughout this, but just reinforce, is it's a scary thing when you get an eviction notice and a filing against you in court. And we understand that's a scary thing, but there's a lot of people here who are here to help in this program. And so the most important thing to do is to not panic. There are going to be resources available to you, and if you can show up to your court proceeding, you're going to have more time to be able to address your situation and be able to get some help doing it as well. There's a hotline that you have heard about. It's called CLAD for short, Cook County Legal Aid for Housing and Debt. And it is 1-855-956-5763. And there's a website that has that number on it too, cookcountylegalaid.org. It will take some time to get through normally when you call the hotline, so try to call at a time where you can be patient and have a few minutes to be able to wait to get through, because a lot of people are calling all the time. But they'll be able to give you some advice before your court date and help you to figure out what to do when that date comes. When your court date comes up, it's going to be on Zoom. Go to your court date. Get there on time to be able to do it. Zoom information should be on the paperwork that you got from the court, but you can also call the court or go on the court website to find that information as well. And you'll go on Zoom and the court proceeding will start. It may take some time for your case to be called, but they're going to connect you to a case manager who will be able to help you get connected to legal aid, rental assistance if it's appropriate for your case, and other resources that might be helpful like mediation. Keep your paperwork. Keep all the information you got from the court and have it handy so when you go to court, you're ready for your case, and the people who are going to be there to help you can help you best that way. The Cook County Legal Aid for Housing and Debt, as I just mentioned, is going to be able to connect you to lots of resources. So free legal help, really anybody in Cook County, so everybody in the city, as well as suburban Cook County, can get free legal help. So some advice from a lawyer, and depending on your situation, they might be able to help you further than that as well. But they also, if rental assistance is an option for your case, there is rental assistance available through the court, through the city, that they'll be able to connect you with right there in the Zoom. So when you go to court, you can get connected to all these services right then. And you may even be able to be connected beforehand if you call the hotline. They may even be able to get you started with rental assistance before then. So go to that website, cookcountylegalaid.org, or again, that phone number, 855-956-5763. So now we're going to do a little fact or fiction. A tenant must file paperwork before they may speak in court on their first court date. Is that fact or fiction? It is fiction. That used to be the way it was, that you would have to file an appearance in court before you could do it. But this program has been set up so that you don't need to actually file paperwork. You just need to show up. If your case doesn't get resolved at this early stage, you may have to file paperwork later, but you do not have to do that to get started in the case. All right, we have another one here for you, fact or fiction. A landlord may only file a case involving a Chicago property at the Daly Center, which is the first municipal district. Fact or fiction? This is a fact. The cases that for people who live in the city are supposed to be filed in the city at the Daly Center. Again, it'll be on Zoom anyway, but this is where it's supposed to be filed. Now, it's possible sometimes landlords will file at one of the suburban districts, even if you do live in the city. If that happens to you, you have an automatic right to have the case transferred back to Chicago to be heard. But because it's on Zoom at the beginning, you'll be able to participate either way. But that is a fact. That is where they are supposed to be filed. So let's talk a little bit more about what's going to happen at your court hearing. You want to be on time and a little bit early, really, if you can. So you'll get a time on your summons that'll typically be 9, 10, or 11 o'clock a.m. The cases don't always start right away on time, but you want to be there on time if you can. And then your case will be called. There's a lot of other cases on the call every day, so it may take a little bit of time. It will be by Zoom, and you want to go to all your court dates. So there's that first court date you go to is the most important. But if you miss that, you'll have one more option where you'll have another chance a couple weeks later to go back and get in there. But otherwise, that's when you get connected to these other resources. But if you do not show up for court, the court can't help you, and none of the other folks can help you either. What will happen to you is you will get a default entered against you. That means you're going to get an eviction order entered without ever having a chance to talk about your case or be able to explain your side of it or see if you can negotiate some other resolution. So it's really important to go to court and know that help is available when you go to court. The court is going to connect you with this case manager right away who is there to help you and to help assess your situation and figure out what other resources will be helpful to you, including legal help, but again, also rental assistance or mediation as well. And if you need an interpreter, then they can also connect you to an interpreter at that phase as well. So again, most important thing to think about after you hear all this is if you've got a court case, don't panic, don't self-evict, come to court, and then there will be people there to help you, but it'll be on Zoom. Fact or fiction? A tenant should wait for the first court date to try to get to rental assistance. If you had a chance to think about that one is fiction. You can try to get connected to rental assistance on your first court date, but you can do it earlier, and you should do it as early as you can. So as soon as you've gotten that summons, if you call the hotline or you go on the website there's a chat bot that can get you started in rental assistance. There's also a link that will connect you to the phone numbers to be able to call rental assistance and get your process started then. The sooner you can get started with rental assistance, the better if it's going to be an option in your case. You do not have to wait till the first court date. That is fiction. So let's talk about what is mediation and why should landlords and tenants consider it. Mediation is when somebody independent, a neutral person, will help landlords and tenants who may not be seeing eye to eye about a situation, be able to talk to each other and work things out in a structured setting where they're there specifically to try to find common ground and to find the best resolution for your case. It could be a really good way to have a conversation with your landlord if you're having difficulty talking to them before the case, but think you are able to work this out. A mediator can help you do that, and they are trained to do this, and they will patiently listen to your side and then the landlord's side separately, and then see where there's common ground and if they're able to work things out. So especially when your landlord is willing to do it too, mediation can be a great way to resolve this early in the process without having to go through the whole court process and hopefully ending in a way that you don't end up with an eviction order against you. You do not have to go to mediation to try to resolve a case, but it can be very, very helpful and something to always consider as an option. As we talk about mediation, there's a lot of different resolutions that can happen. Rental assistance can be part of a solution where you get to stay in your unit right now, but there are also other resolutions where it may be that you're not going to be able to stay in your unit or be able to afford to stay in your unit, but you'll get extra time to be able to move out, and if by agreeing to a date certain, you'll be able to move out and get a fresh start without having an eviction order on your record. The mediators can help you with all those things. So how do you get connected to mediation services? The Center for Conflict Resolution is that neutral party who I mentioned, who has these trained mediators. And they can get you connected either through court, or you can do an email or a phone call in advance of your court date too. So there's an email that's newcase@Chicago.gov. You'll see that on your slide. Or you can also call them at 312-922-6464, extension 22. Again, that's on the slide as well, and they will be able to connect you to a case manager that can screen you to see if mediation is a good option for your case. The court process I've been describing is called the early resolution process. So ERP for short, early resolution process. It's a part of the court now, and it's under the court umbrella, and it's connected into all the other resources I mentioned. So when you come to court, ERP places attorneys in the Zoom breakouts who are there to assist landlords and tenants. There's also mediators that are available to be connected there. And again, the city has a rental assistance folks who are there as well. So in one Zoom, by going to court, you get connected to this case manager who can then connect you to lawyers in another one of the Zoom rooms, rental assistance in another one of the Zoom rooms, and potentially even mediation in one of those Zoom rooms. And so they're going to help you figure out what's happening in your case, what kind of legal rights do you have perhaps, and potential defenses that you might have. Is there a way we can resolve this through settlement and negotiation with your landlord that might be able to come up with a solution that, again, if rental assistance or other ways that you might be able to stay in the unit where you're at, or if that is not going to be an option, to be able to find the next best option, which is to move and have time to be able to do that and not have an eviction on your record and go through the trauma of a sheriff having to come out to do an eviction, which is tough on everybody. So there's usually going to be a better resolution, and this is the time the early resolution program is there to try to do that. All right, so we have another fact or fiction here. The first court date will be a trial, fact or fiction. Had a chance to think about that one. That one is fiction. Back before this program existed, sometimes it really could be a trial on your first date, which was hard to come into court and all of a sudden you're in a trial, especially if you're on your own trying to do that. So no, that is not how it works anymore. You will go through this early resolution process that we mentioned. And so instead of going to trial on your first date, you're going to get connected to this case manager and you're going to get between 14 and 28 days to be able to connect to a lawyer, again, rental assistance potentially or mediation, and see if there's another resolution to your case that's possible before you come back to the court. And at that point, it might get set for trial if you're not able to work it out, but there'll be time after that before the trial happens. So a process that used to happen possibly right away when you went to court, now there is time to be able to get access to these other resources and try to work it out before you're ever going to go to trial. Just to sum up here, most important things to remember, as you heard about a lot of things here, is go to court when you have an eviction. People are going to be there to help, and that's the most important thing, is to be able to do that. If you have time and the ability to do so before, call the hotline that was on the slides that you saw, or go to cookcountylegalaid.org, where you might be able to even start rental assistance or get to talk to a lawyer before court. But most important thing is don't self-evict, don't panic, come to court, and there will be people there to help you and try to find the best resolution for your case. Thank you.